And our next story is about a secret mission to smuggle former Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad's hidden wealth out of the country. An investigative report by news agency Reuters revealing how during the final days of his regime, Assad used a private jet to move large sums of cash, valuables, documents to Abu Dhabi. According to the report, there were 4 flights made by the plane in the days leading up to Assad's fall from power, with the last flight leaving a Russian military base. And here's what the report says. As the rebel forces closed in on Damascus, Assad, who ruled Syria with an iron fist for 24 years, was busy using a private jet to evacuate not just his treasures, but also important documents that outlined the network behind his massive financial empire. The man who secretly helped achieve this? Yasser Ibrahim. He was Assad's top economic advisor, and according to the report, a key figure in organizing the leasing of the plane. Yasser Ibrahim reportedly arranged the leasing of the plane that would transport Assad's assets, Assad's relatives, Assad's aides, and presidential palace personnel to the UAE. Coming back to the topic of the smuggling, according to Reuters, an Embraer Legacy 600 jet was reportedly used to make 4 back-to-back trips to Syria. Most importantly, these flights took place within just 48 hours before Assad's regime crumbled on December 6, as the rebels, led by HDS, marched towards Damascus. The jet reportedly approached Damascus International Airport, and at first, the jet left Dubai on December 6 and landed in Damascus around noon local time. It then flew to al-Batin airport and was back in Damascus after 10 p.m. And each time it landed, cars reportedly rushed towards the plane, stayed for a short time, and then left just before the plane took off again. On December 7, the jet was back in Damascus around 4 p.m. and left for al-Batin for a third time over an hour later, and then on the 8th of December. Remember, the rebel fighters reached Damascus, prompting Assad to flee. Damascus airport stopped operating. But shortly after midnight that day, the jet reportedly left al-Batin one last time. After passing over the city of Homs, which is located north of Damascus, the jet reportedly dropped off flight tracking coverage for about 6 hours before reappearing over Homs, headed back to Abu Dhabi. During that window, the report says it landed at the Hamimim base in the Latakia province, which is a Russia-operated base. And according to Reuters, on December 8, the final flight left from this base, which coincides with Assad's own escape to Russia from the same location. As per Reuters, which cites information gathered from 14 sources, which includes airport staff and former intelligence officers, the jet transported unmarked bags holding at least $500,000 in cash. Also flown out of the country were key documents, as well as electronic devices like laptops and hard drives that reportedly contained crucial intelligence about Assad's extensive network of businesses. Why is this being reported now? According to Reuters, the new Syrian government, led by Ahmad al-Shara, is reportedly determined to recover any public funds smuggled out during Assad's downfall. This is because Syria, as one can imagine, is grappling with ongoing economic challenges and sanctions in the aftermath of Assad's ouster. As his regime was crumbling, the involvement of high-ranking security forces to aid Assad's network seemed to suggest that Assad was aware and perhaps direct in implementing this evacuation plan. Now, according to the report, more details will be uncovered as the investigation continues. Shifting focus for now, we've stared at the stars for millennia, asking the same haunting question: are we alone? And now the universe might just be whispering back. In a tantalizing new discovery, the most definitive signs of life have been found on a distant planet. Take a look.
What if the first hint of life beyond Earth isn't a message from aliens, but a faint chemical whisper from a faraway world? That's exactly what the James Webb Space Telescope might have found. An exciting clue that could change everything we know about life in the universe. Scientists say the planet holds the most promising hints of potential life on a planet beyond our solar system. But hold on, we can't just hop onto a spacecraft or send a probe just yet. This planet is located about 124 light-years away from Earth. K2-18b, a mysterious planet orbiting its star in the Goldilocks zone. This is basically like the location of our planet. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water. Scientists have long wondered if this planet could support life. Now, Webb's powerful instruments have detected a gas called dimethyl sulfide in its atmosphere, a gas produced only by living things on Earth like algae and bacteria. Faint heartbeat from across the galaxy. It's not proof of aliens yet, but it's the strongest hint we've had so far. The planet's thick atmosphere and possible oceans could be home to strange alien life forms, maybe microbes thriving under conditions very different from Earth's.
This moment in history of science will be viewed as a paradigm shift in our search for life. And the reason for that is that we have breached the level where we are demonstrating that if there is life out there, if there are Haitian worlds out there, these ocean worlds with hydrogen atmospheres with life on them, we are basically establishing here that we can detect that kind of like signature, those kinds of planets and biosignatures in them. So that is a paradigm shift in our understanding.
However, some scientists urge caution. K2-18b is much bigger than Earth and much hotter, with a thick hydrogen atmosphere that might make life difficult. There's still a chance that the DMS could come from non-living chemical reactions. This discovery is thrilling because this chemica has never been spotted on another planet before. On Earth, it's a clear sign of life. The James Webb Telescope will keep watching. K2-18b, gathering more data to confirm if this gas really signals life. If confirmed, this would be the most groundbreaking discovery in human history. A cosmic first step in answering the age-old question, are we alone?
Tonight on Gravitas, we tell you all about a mission so audacious that it mirrored the most daring Israeli raids in modern history, one that could have been the fuse to one of the most explosive confrontations in West Asia, triggering a full-scale regional war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had planned a high-stakes military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities beginning as early as next month. And this was not just any other drill. It consisted of a plan complete with airstrikes, commandos, based on a Syria-style raid conducted by Israel last September. But US President Donald Trump blocked the plan, instead choosing to pivot towards diplomacy with Tehran. The Trump administration made it clear to Israel that there was no green light for the strikes, at least not yet. And according to reports, the Israeli government had drawn up various plans to bomb Iranian nuclear sites in the month of May, just weeks from now, aiming to delay Tehran's nuclear weapons capability by at least a year or possibly more. But here's the caveat. Israel needed American support, not just to defend Israel from Iranian retaliation, but also to ensure that an Israeli attack was successful. For the plan, Israel had sought America's most devastating bunker-busting bomb, a 30,000-pound bunker buster that could reach deep depths beneath Iran's mountainous nuclear sites. And along with the airstrikes, Netanyahu also wanted to execute commando raids at the nuclear sites with the help of the US. In a nutshell, this was a far more ambitious version of the recent operation in Syria. Last year, Israeli commandos, remember, flew by helicopter into Syria, rappelled into an underground Hezbollah bunker, and obliterated it. That operation combined airstrikes, special forces, rapid mobilization. While it was successful, it's important to remember that Syria is not Iran. Iran is larger, better defended, far more armed. Unlike Hezbollah's facilities in Syria, Iran's nuclear sites are scattered across the country, heavily fortified and buried deep underground. And attacking them is not just about firepower. It's about geography, logistics, consequences. The nuclear sites, after all, are located thousands of kilometers from Israel. And unlike Syria, this is not a neighbor-to-neighbor operation. The closest flight path between Israel and Iran spanning over 900 kilometers. Most of Iran's nuclear infrastructure is over 2,000 kilometers away, and that distance complicates just about everything. In fact, Saudi Arabia and Jordan have made it clear that they would not grant Israel or the US their air bases for any operation against Iran. One alternative would require Israeli warplanes to fly along the Red Sea, circle around Yemen and Oman, and hit targets along Iran's southern coast. A one-way trip of nearly 4,700 kilometers. The other option and the fastest access to northern Iranian sites is through Syria and Iraq. But let's just zoom out for now. Like we said earlier, Iran is not Syria, it's not Hezbollah, it's a regional superpower in military terms. With an arsenal of ballistic missiles, explosive drones, proxy militias spread from Lebanon to Iraq, Iran's arsenal including ballistic missiles that can strike targets over 1,700 kilometers away. If Iran were attacked, it wouldn't just retaliate against Israel. It has made it clear it would strike American bases. Now, after abandoning the commando raid plan, Israeli and US officials pivoted to discuss a week-long bombing campaign beginning in early May. And that plan included airstrikes to eliminate Iranian air defenses that could clear the path for deeper strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Netanyahu's last-minute trip to the White House earlier this month reportedly was to persuade and push Trump for a go-ahead on the strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. But inside the Trump administration, opinion was sharply divided. On one side, CENTCOM Commander General Michael Kurilla and the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz advocated for support. They explored scenarios. They reviewed logistics. They even examined possible US strikes should Trump decide to authorize them. But others within the administration urged caution. The US Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, assessed that a strike on Iran would invite retaliation not just against Israel but against America as well, leading to a wider conflict. And she wasn't alone, by the way. US Vice President J.D. Vance, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, all sided with restraint. And their warning was clear. Supporting Netanyahu's plan could unleash a chain reaction no one could control. And in the end, Trump agreed. He shelved the plan and chose diplomacy. And Trump even used his meeting with Netanyahu to announce that the United States would instead enter talks with Iran to limit its nuclear ambitions. So the next question tonight is not just about one strike that did not happen, it's about the next move. Iran is a country prepared for war, and if diplomacy fails this Saturday in the talks between the US and Iran, the fallout would not just be in Tehran or Tel Aviv for that matter, it could spread across West Asia. And on Gravitas Quote Unquote, we tell you about what the Russian President Vladimir Putin has said about Elon Musk. Speaking to students at Moscow State University in Moscow, Putin has lauded Musk, describing him as a rare visionary. Speaking on Russia's space policy at the student meeting, Putin reportedly described Musk as absolutely crazy about Mars. He said, and I'm quoting now, "You know, there's a man, he lives in the United States, Musk, who one might say raves about Mars," quote unquote. Having said so, Putin drew a parallel between Musk and a key figure in the Soviet space race, Sergei Korolev, who led the USSR space program during the space race with the US in the 1950s and 1960s. And that's not all. Putin also implied that people like Musk are truly rare. Putin also said, and I'm quoting further, "It's not often that such people charged with a certain idea appear in the human population," quote unquote.
The first thing that needs to be solved is the problem of a long and safe stay of a person in space, and not just in near space, but in deep space. Secondly, we need to solve the issue of new ways of transmitting information. Thirdly, this is to provide energy for future objects.
However, it's not the first time that Putin has praised Musk. Last year, in an interview with former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson, the Russian president said there is no stopping Elon Musk and spoke of his desire to find common ground on areas like AI. In 2023, when Musk reportedly refused to let Ukraine use Starlink internet to launch a surprise attack on Russian naval vessels in Crimea, Putin praised the entrepreneur as an outstanding person and businessman. Being all praise about Musk, Putin also commented on the success of SpaceX later that week. But as you know, praise often comes with its own vested interests, and Putin might not be without one himself. Following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russia's space agency was sanctioned, and the European Space Agency was forced to rely on Musk's SpaceX rocket system until the premiere of its own launch last year. Not just that, time and again, Putin has expressed his hope and ambition regarding expanding Russia's space exploration, particularly so in the domain of deep space travel. However, Musk, as you know, is not foolproof, with strong allegations against him for doubling as a pro-Kremlin mouthpiece. In the past, Musk has criticized the provision of American aid to Kiev without an end game. Therefore, it only adds up why Putin showers praise on Musk whenever an occasion arises and needs him in the same team as his.